Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a comedy romance film called I Run to You from 2022. Enjoy your viewing. Gianni, a successful and wealthy businessman, goes for a morning jog as usual. Despite being 49 years old, the man is very fond of beautiful women and goes to various lengths to have fun with them. Later, at a country club, his friend Fabio tells him that Gianni has managed to pretend to be 3 different personalities in one day to meet beautiful women. The businessman jokingly replies that perhaps his friend's wife would also like to get to know him better. The next day, Gianni meets his doctor friend, Dario, for lunch. The friend strongly advises his friend to find a serious relationship with a girl. At that moment, Gianni's phone rings, and he receives the sad news. His mother has died. At the cemetery, Gianni accidentally falls into a Filipino procession and is late for the farewell ceremony, where his twin brother Diego has been waiting for him for a long time. After the ceremony, the brother gives Gianni the keys to their mother's house. Family photos make Gianni sad. When he sits down in his mother's wheelchair, a young neighbor, Alessia, appears and says that she sometimes helps the disabled in the nursing home. So the businessman decides to pretend to be disabled just to seduce the beautiful woman. The next day, Gianni gathers his employees in the office and tries to convey to them that his company sells not just athletic shoes, but life. An intern, Julia, suggests adding sneakers for Paralympic athletes to their store, to which Gianni just smiles, since their target audience is successful, wealthy people. He immediately fires Julia from her job. After finishing the meeting, Gianni takes a bag of old clothes from his chief assistant and rushes to her late mother's house. Using his fake disability, he persuades Alessia to have coffee with him. During the conversation, Gianni realizes that the beautiful woman is more inclined to an easy life than a relationship, and she likes active, healthy, and rich guys. His whole game of pretending to be disabled turns against him. As soon as Alessia is about to leave, Gianni shouts after her that he is the owner of a large company and a serious businessman. Stunned, Alessia immediately changes her mind and invites the man to lunch at her country house. On this day, Gianni parks far away from the girl's house and gets there in a wheelchair. Inside, the man meets Alessia, her grandmother with oxygen tubes in her nose, as well as her brother and parents. Then her sister Chiara arrives, who also has to use a wheelchair. Gianni realizes with regret that Alessia invited him only to introduce him to her sister. After lunch, the two talk on the street. Chiara says that she likes to play sports, and also plays the violin professionally. Gianni shows no interest in her, and just nods in response. When Gianni returns to Rome, he tells his friends about the beautiful girl in the wheelchair, and he has no desire to continue to communicate with her. Fabio argues with his friend that he won't be able to have fun with her. The rich man confidently replies that he won't even have to strain to do so. Meanwhile, Alessia comes to the protagonist's mother's house to return his cloak. But instead, she meets Diego, who is unaware of Gianni's lie. The guest tells him about his brother's charity work and sympathizes with his disability. Diego is surprised, but decides to play along. Diego asks his brother about his next lie, but Gianni only jokes about his baldness. The next morning, Gianni leaves a voicemail for Chiara, inviting her over on Saturday. But to her man's surprise, Chiara visits him that morning at the office, causing Gianni to fall awkwardly on the desk. She says she can't make it on Saturday and invites him to watch her tennis tournament for the disabled. Trying to impress his guest, he makes up a story about how his company supports disabled athletes. Later, Gianni, in a wheelchair, watches Chiara play in a tense tennis match and admires her performance. After the match, she invites him to lunch with her friends. However, the friends bore the newcomer with endless questions about his disability, making him feel very uncomfortable, and he even has an unpleasant dream that night. A few weeks later, Gianni flies to Turin, where Chiara is performing with her orchestra. The rich man buys an electric wheelchair from a local resident and takes a seat in the theater. For the first time in his life, the hero is sincerely moved by classical music. After the concert, Gianni lies to Chiara that he flew here for work and decided to come to the concert. In the evening, the two of them have dinner at a restaurant, where Gianni feels ashamed and wants to confess his deception, but does not know how to do it. At the same time, the rich man behaves very funny with his electric chair. After dinner, Chiara takes Gianni to her hotel, where they kiss, but the girl decides to stop there. After returning home, Dario suggests that his friend drop the argument, but the businessman just waves him off. Then Gianni invites Chiara to dinner tomorrow night, and immediately afterwards, he goes to pick up another beauty he met in the morning while jogging. At this time, Chiara talks happily with her sister, and admits that she is happy because Gianni sees her as a real woman, not just pitying her. The next day, Chiara visits Gianni's huge mansion. She moves easily among the furniture, while the owner is constantly facing various obstacles in his chair. At dinner, the rich man lies about his legs being paralyzed after a fall from a pony, which sounds quite funny. Then the guest shares her own story about a terrible car accident. Her passenger only broke his collarbone, and Kiara herself was much less fortunate, as she will never walk again. Then the owner makes the hall fill with water at the touch of a button. He holds the beautiful girl tightly to him, and the two of them gently engage in an interesting activity. When it's over, Kiara admits that she could hardly feel anything because of the injury. The girl soon falls asleep, and Gianni immediately takes a selfie with her to show off to his friends. The next day, the rich man shows his friends the photo and wins an argument with Fabio. However, the same evening, the main character finds Fabio's wife in bed with him. When a pretty guest breaks glasses and smilingly declares that she is clumsy like a disabled person, it makes Gianni very angry, and he tells her to leave. Gianni and Chiara never meet again. However, the meeting with the beauty definitely had a strong impact on him. The businessman orders the girl who offered to sell sneakers for the Paralympians to return to work. The next day, Gianni calls Chiara and asks to visit, explaining that he has something important to tell her. However, when he sees the beautiful woman, he again does not have the heart to confess his deception. The two of them kiss, and then the hostess confesses that her ex-boyfriend left her after an accident. The lies and deception hurt her much more than physical injuries. Chiara asks her boyfriend to introduce her to his friends, so he organizes a dinner with Dario and Luciana. The doctor says that he will tell his friend about his deception, but he accidentally spills soup on his suite and asks Dario to go to the restroom with him. Gianni convinces his friend that he will definitely reveal the truth, but another time. The next day, Diego comes to Alicia with flowers and exposes his brother's lies. Angry, Alicia slaps Gianni across the face and orders her to confess everything to Chiara within 2 days. Gianni meets with her father, who has led an easy life all his life. The old man regrets his wasted time, because of which he lost his beloved family. The father advises his son to confess everything to Chiara, but he is afraid that she will leave him if the deception is revealed. Then they come up with a crazy idea to go with Chiara to a place where they will have to pretend that Gianni is able to walk again, due to the effect of local miraculous water. Then, the problem will be solved by itself. At the same time, Chiara talks to her sister, who gently advises her to break up with the rich man. Chiara admits that she knows perfectly well that Gianni can walk. She was just happy to love her husband and finally feel loved. A few days later, the two arrive at the same place, where the priest calls Gianni for a personal conversation. The priest warns the man not to get up from his wheelchair in front of everyone, explaining that this can give people false hope and make them believe in miracles. Gianni then leaves the cathedral and continues to pretend to be disabled. At the same time, Chiara heads to the road, not noticing the approaching truck. The rich man immediately jumps out of his chair and rescues the girl. At first, she plays along with the man's claim that a real miracle has happened before their eyes, but then she gets on the bus in tears. At the same time, Gianni returns to Rome, where he is immediately attacked by Fabio, who learns of his wife and friend's betrayal. After that, the businessman's loyal assistant decides to quit her job. Gianni visits his mother's grave and tells her that he loves her very much. Then the businessman hires Julia and tells her to take over the production of sneakers for the disabled. Desperate, Gianni rushes to Chiara's parents' house, where she meets her grandmother. The rich man confesses that he loves her granddaughter very much, and the old woman sees the sincerity of his feelings and says that the girl is now on the bus. Gianni catches up with the bus in his sports car and confesses his love to Chiara, but she mistakes these feelings for pity and refuses to talk to the man. Upon returning to Rome, Gianni goes jogging without pity until he falls to the pavement with chest pain and severe weakness. At that moment, Chiara suddenly appears in a wheelchair, joking that she was just passing by. The beautiful woman smiles, and Gianni realizes that she has finally forgiven him and hugs the girl tightly. A couple of months later, Gianni celebrates his 50th birthday, where we see that Diego is now dating Alessia, and Gianni picks up Chiara in his arms and spins with her in a dance. If you have watched the video so far, you should know that I am happy to have viewers like you. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel and follow the news. Klontsak Recapped was with you. See you soon.